Hi, my name is Ana Castillo. I'm a writer. I didn't start out as a writer. As a matter of fact, I still don't see myself as a writer so much as someone who started writing a long time ago and it got out of hand. In my youth, as a young woman, as a young poet, young writer, working with other grassroots organizers in Chicago, primarily through the arts, I didn't have role models there yet, per se, not the kind of role models that we have now, that we say, well, they come from this similar background or similar city or similar hometown, similar country. For us, it was a lot of rendering Latino people into invisibility despite our numbers, because there had always been numbers. So I had to pull together who my role models would be and how they would be my role models. As a woman that was beginning to identify, maybe I didn't call myself a feminist, but to identify the rights that I had as a woman in this country and as a woman in the world, I didn't have Latina feminists. This is how many years later I actually came up with the term Chicanismo, because there was no word for a Chicana feminist. For Chicanas, feminism was about white women. So before that, I did learn something about feminism from white women and from black women. And one of the white women is a woman by the name of Germaine Greer. One of the most important things that she said in The Female Eunuch that spoke very clear to me was, the most important thing that a woman can do in this life is to be happy. You'll be surprised how difficult it is to be happy as a woman in this world. It sounds like a silly thing to say, the most important thing to do is to be happy. But how do you be happy when you have consciousness, when you know that there's so many things that need rectifying in society? So this is how I began to formulate my identity as both a woman and as a brown woman. I continue to do that. Now, working with the guys was difficult, again, because I might be the only woman, and the guys were not worrying about being men, they were worried about being brown. So they weren't working on their gender, they were working on their color or on their class. So I decided then to pull back, and my activism has been a different kind of activism. It's an activism that goes through my art, through my writing, through my work, through my teaching, my scholarship, and so on, until today. And where I can speak, I will speak, or where I can teach, I can show that. I was recently asked to speak to an organization in New York that's mentoring young women of color writers. It's called Girls Write Now, WRITE, and they asked if I would endorse their forthcoming anthology. Just lifted my heart to see these young, urban, New York, tough 17, 18-year-old women learning to express themselves to write. And they have people like Gloria Steinem who are supporting their organization. I thought what it would have done for me as a 17, 18-year-old girl to have had that resource. What I felt at that time in reading the work by these young women, I thought my voice was a lone voice. Many, many years ago, I feel that I put it in a bottle, sent it off into the ocean. Decades later, someone has found that bottle, and the voices have proliferated, and they come out now to me resonating with the voices of so many different women of color, young women of color, who have learned from so many, not just someone like myself, but so many women who've been activists and working so hard in so many different ways around the world. All of them speak to these young writers to develop their consciousness. So I don't know if that would be an example of being a revolutionary, but in my heart it's what I did, what I dedicate myself to do. I've been honored, and I feel quite privileged to continue to do that as long as I'm able to.